We begin at the introduction last few days, and today we begin with the first mitzvahs, with the first chapter, rather. Seidia Torah, Foundations of Torah. Chapter 1, extend your kindness to those who know you and to your charity to the upright of heart, from Tehillim. The first book, the book of knowledge, Sefer Amada, as it's called. It contains, We're doing three chapters. Okay. It contains 5 sets of halachas, and you have the booklet on the here. You can follow in the booklet. Yeah, that's 3 chapters there. Okay, let everybody in, please. Thank you. 5 sets of halachas, their orders, and that which is in foundation of the Torah, the laws of personal development, the laws of Torah study, the laws of worship of stars and their statutes, and the laws of tshuva, repentance. They contain 10 mitzvahs. The Torah contains 6 mitzvahs, 6 positive and 4 negative. They are to know that there is a God, not to consider the thought that there is another divinity aside from God, to unify him, to love him, to fear him, to sanctify him, not to profane God's name, not to destroy those things associated with his name, to listen to the prophet who speaks in God's name, not to test God. The explanation of these mitzvahs is found in the following chapters. Okay, let us begin. In Hebrew, Yud, Hey, and a Hey, Vav, and a Hey, spelling God's name, right? So it's hinted over here, God's name. Foundation of all foundations, the pillar of all wisdom, to know, not to believe, but to know that there's a primary being who brought into being all existence, all the beings of the heavens, the earth, and that which is between them came into existence only from the truth of his being. So that's the first mitzvah, to know that there's God, not to believe, right? But to bring that a belief that we have in our neshama into an awareness, of being, of his into intellectual understanding. Now, if one would imagine that he does not exist, no other being could possibly exist, right? If one would imagine that none of the entities aside from him exist, he alone would continue to exist, right? If you could imagine, we can't imagine it, but right? Imagine there's nothing else, then he alone would continue to exist. And the nullification of their existence would not nullify his existence, because all the other entities require him, and he, blessed be he, does not require them, nor any one of them. Therefore, the truth of his being does not resemble the truth of their being, right? In other words, God is not contingent on us, we're contingent on him. So if you could imagine that nothing else would exist, well, God still would exist, if you can imagine that, right? So this is implied by the prophet's statement in Jeremiah that God, your Lord, is true. He alone is true, and no other entity possesses truth that compares to his truth. This is what is meant by the Torah statement in Deuteronomy: there is nothing else besides him. From him, besides him, aside from him, there is no true existence like his. This entity is God of the world and the Lord of the entire earth. He controls the sphere with infinite and unbounded power. This power continues without interruption because the sphere is constantly revolving, and it is impossible for it to revolve without someone causing it to revolve. That one is he, blessed be he, who causes it to revolve without a hand and any other corporal dimension. The knowledge of this concept is a positive commandment. It's implied, I am the Lord your God. I mean, know this, in other words. It's implied by that, right? That you need to know this. Anyone who presumes that there is any other God transgresses negative commandments. It says, "You shall have no other gods before me," and denies fundamental principle of faith, because this is a great principle of faith upon which all depends. That's the first thing. I can stretch my legs. Excuse me. I just realized I'm sitting so long. Oh my gosh. I don't know. It won't help my stretch. Excuse me a second. All right. We're good. Actually, use some water. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. That was a mid-inning stretch. Okay. We're good. Continue. Yeah. This God is one. He is not two or more, but one, unified in a manner which surpasses any unity that is found in the world. He is not one in the manner of the general category, which includes many individual entities. Thank you very much. Hi. Yeah. So he's not one in the manner of a general category, which includes many individual entities, nor one in the way that the body is divided into different portions and dimensions. Rather, he is unified, and there exists no entity similar to his in this world. Right? You could say that there's a oneness of the heavens above, the stars, or whatever, if you will, unifying forces, right? In gravity, there's a oneness in gravity, but it's not a true oneness because it's a thing, right? If there were many gods, they would have body and form, because like entities are separated with each other only through the circumstances associated with body and form. Body doesn't necessarily mean physical body, by the way, right? It can be spiritual body, but it means it still has some parameter to it, right? When we say body, doesn't necessarily mean physical. Were the creator to have body and form, he would have limitation definition, because it is impossible for a body not to be limited. And any entity which itself is limited and is defined possesses only limited and defined power. Since our God, blessed be his name, possesses unlimited power, as evidenced by the continuous evolution of the sphere, we see that his power is not the power of a body. Others, we perceive it in creation because God is constantly creating the world, right? Yeah, there's always movement, the constant movement, right? So there's constant engagement of God. Chassidus came in and brought it more deeply, but he's speaking here on the physical eye, that it knows that there's constant movement of the sphere. Right. The Baal Shem Tov introduced or revealed the idea. He didn't introduce it, he revealed it, right? That the word of God is constantly engaged in creation, but that's something that's not physical. He's speaking in a physical sense on how you can know this, right? So since he is not a body, the circumstances associated with bodies that produce division and separation are not relevant to him. Therefore, it's impossible for him to be anything other than one. The knowledge of this concept fulfills the positive commandment that is applied. Hear, Israel, God is our Lord. God is one. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Right? That's the oneness of God that we're talking about. God is one. In other words, and the only one, the only thing. Number 8. Behold, it is explicitly stated in the Torah that the works of the prophets, that the Holy One, blessed be He, is not, and the works of is not confined to a body in physical form. states, because God, your Lord, is the Lord in the heavens above and the earth below, and the body cannot exist in two places simultaneously. So he's bringing further this argument, right? As it states in Deuteronomy, for you did not see any image. In Isaiah, it says, to him who cannot be likened, you can, to whom can you liken me? With whom will I be equal? Were he confined to a body, he would resemble other bodies. Yeah, a bigger body, or spiritual body or whatever, but still there would be something to resemble too. If so, what is the meaning of the expressions employed by the Torah, below his feet, written by the finger of God, God's hand, God's eyes, God's ears, and the like? All these are expressions that are used to relate to human thought processes, which only corporal imagery, to which know only corporal imagery. For the Torah speaks in language of man. That's the key. Torah speaks in language of man. It's giving us a metaphor so we can relate to it. They are only descriptive terms as apparent from the verse in Deuteronomy, and I will let my lightning sword. Does he have a sword? Does he need a sword to kill? Rather, this is metaphoric imagery. Similarly, all expressions are metaphoric imagery. A proof of this concept, one prophet says that he saw the Holy One, blessed be he, clothed in snow white. Daniel, and another envisioned him coming with crimson garments. From Batra and Isaiah, Moses, our teacher himself, envisioned him in the Red Sea as a mighty man, waging war. And Mount Sinai saw him as a leader in the congregation wrapped in a tallis. This shows that he has no image or form. All of these are merely expressions of prophetic vision and imagery, and the truth of this concept cannot be grasped or comprehended by human thought. This is what the verse says in Job. Can you find the comprehension of God? Can you find the ultimate bounds of the Almighty? Halacha number 10. If so, why did Moshe, our teacher, want to comprehend when he requested, please show me your glory? He asked to know the truth of the existence of the Holy One, blessed be he, to the extent that it could be internalized within his mind. As one knows a particular person whose face he saw and whose image has been engraved within one's heart. Thus, this person's identity is distinguished within one's mind from that of other men. Similarly, Moshe, our teacher, asked that the existence of the Holy One, blessed be he, be distinguished in his mind from the existence of all other entities, to the extent that he would know the truth of his existence as it is in its own right. He, blessed be he, God, replied to him that it's not within the potential of a living being, a living man, a creature of body and soul, to comprehend the matter in its entirety. Nevertheless, he, blessed be he, revealed to Moshe matters that no other man had known before him, nor would ever know afterwards, until he was able to comprehend enough from the truth of its existence for the Holy One, blessed be he, to be distinguished in his mind from other entities, as a person is distinguished from other men when one sees his back and knows the structure of the body and the manner in which he is clothed. This is from the verse, you shall see my back and you shall not see my face. Others, right? Others, he wants to know God, that he could know God the best that he can, to distinguish God from all other things that he knows. He wants, right? So just like you can see, right? Often you'll see someone in the yonder and you only see their back, but you know who they are because you know them so well. You know who they are, how to distinguish them. So likewise, he saw the back of God, figuratively speaking, right? That he would be able to know and distinguish God. Chassidus explains all these things on a much deeper level, but the Rambam is explaining it on the most simplistic level in halacha. But alluded and embedded in here is actually deep Hasidic teachings. After all, Rambam was a Chassid. 11. Since it has been clarified that he does not have a body or corporal form, it's also clear that none of the functions of the body are appropriate to him, neither connection nor separation, neither place nor measure, neither ascent or descent, neither right or nor left, neither front or back, neither standing or sitting. He is not bound within time so that he would possess a beginning, an end, or age. He does not change, for there is nothing that can cause him to change. The concept of death is not applicable to him, nor is that of life within the context of a physical life. The concept of foolishness is not applicable to him, nor that of wisdom in the terms of human wisdom. Neither sleep nor walking, neither anger nor laughter, neither joy nor sadness, neither silence nor speech, in human understanding of speech, are appropriate terms with which to describe him. Our sages declare above there is no sitting, no standing, no separation, nor connection. Halacha 12. Since this is so, all such descriptions and the like, which are related in the Torah and the words of the prophets, all of the are metaphors on imagery. For example, he who sits in the heavens shall laugh. They angered me with their emptiness. And as God rejoiced. With regard to such statements, our sages, the Torah speaks in language of men. This is born out of the rhetorical question: are they enraging me? I, God, have not changed. Now, were he to at times be enraged and at other times happy, he would change. Rather, all these matters are found only with regard to the dark and lowly bodies, those who dwell in the houses of clay, whose foundation is dust. In contrast, he, blessed be he, is elevated and exalted above all of this. Let's start a little bit of chapter 2. Powerful, huh? Yeah. Okay. It is a mitzvah, chapter 2, to love and fear this glorious and awesome God. As it says, then you shall love the Lord your God and fear your God. Halacha 2. What is the path to attain love and the fear of him? When a person contemplates his wonders and great deeds and creations and appreciates his infinite wisdom, surpasses all compassion, he will immediately love, praise, and glorify him, yearning with tremendous desire to know God's great name. As King David says, my soul thirsts for the Lord, for the living God. When he continues to reflect on these same matters, he will immediately recoil in awe and fear, appreciating how he is tiny, lowly, and a dark creature, standing within with his flimsy, limited wisdom before he who is of perfect knowledge, as David said. When I see your heavens and the work of your fingers, I wonder what is man that you should recall him. Based on these concepts, I will explain important principles regarding the deeds of the master of the worlds to provide a foothold in the person for a person of understanding the developed love of God. As our sages regarded love, in this manner you will recognize he who spoke and thus brought the world into being. Everything which the only one blessed be he created within this world is divided into 3 categories. They include creations, which are a combination of matter and form. They constantly come into existence and ceasing to exist. For example, the bodies of man and beasts and plants and metals. Right? No, you didn't get that? Two, creations, which also are a combination of matter and form, but do not change from body to body or from form to form. All those are fixed in the first category. Rather, their form is permanently fixed in their matter, and they do not change as others do. For example, the spheres, the stars, which revolve in them, right? The sun isn't changing, right? No, the sun is remaining the sun, right? The moon is remaining the moon. The spheres and the stars which revolve in them, the matter of which they are composed differs from a simple conception of matter, and their form differs from single conception of form. Third, creations which have form but no matter at all. For example, angels. For angels do not possess bodies or corporal being. but rather are forms which are separate from each other. Okay. Number 4, what is meant by the prophet's statement that they saw an angel of fire or with wings? All these are prophetic visions and parables, as it states. God, your Lord, is consuming fire, though he is not fire. The description of him in this manner only metaphoric, similar as it states, he makes his angels as winds. Halacha number 5. We're good so far? Great. Since they possess no body, what separates the form of an angel from each other? Their existence is not alike. Rather, each one is below the level of the other and exists by virtue of its influence in the progression of levels, one above the other. Everything exists by virtue of the influence of the Holy One, blessed be he, and his goodness. Solomon alluded to this concept in his wisdom, saying, because above the one who is high, there is a watcher, and there are others higher than them. Yeah. Yeah, those who have no physical being, right? But yet they have form, which means that form is in one level. So therefore we speak about levels, one higher than the other. Halacha number 6, the expression below the level of the other does not refer to the height of the facial sense, as one might say. He is sitting higher than his colleague, but rather in regard to spiritual level. For example, when speaking about two sages, and one who is greater than the other, we say one is above the level of the other. Simply, this cause refers to the above, the effect it produces, right? So that when we say higher, lower, that's what we mean. The different names of the angels are called, reflect the spiritual levels. Thus, they are called who are above all others. Then Ophanim, Elohim, Re'elim, the sons of Elohim, Chashma, the Chashmalim, the Keruvim, Srafim, Ishim, and Malachim. The 10 names which are used to refer to angels reflect the 10 different spiritual levels. The level above which is there's no higher except that of God, blessed be he, is that a form called Chayas. Huh?
In Torah, so much while we're learning during the week, when Torah comes out, we learn all these names mentioned in Torah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The level of love which is no level of the art except is highest. Therefore, the prophet stated they are below God's throne of glory. The 10th lowest level is that of the Ishim. They are angels who communicate with the prophets and are perceived by them in prophetic vision. Therefore, they're called Ishim, men, because their level is close to that human knowledge. Halacha number 8, all these spiritual forms are alive. They recognize and know the Creator with an immense knowledge, each of their forms according to its level and not according to its greatness. Even the highest level is unable to conceive of the true nature of the Creator as he truly is, since its intellectual capacity is too limited to know or to grasp him. It does, however, comprehend and know more than the form which is below it. Right? This is true regarding each and every level, including the 10th level. The level also knows the Creator in a manner that surpasses the potential to know and comprehend God possessed by human beings, made of the body and soul. None of these levels know the Creator as he knows himself, right? So, yes, angels know God more than we do because the light of God is more shining there. They don't have the limitations that we do, right? But their connection to God is not as great as we have, because we have Torah mitzvahs, connects to God himself. And as we're learning in the Mimer this morning, bring out that idea. Sorry. Halacha number 9. All existence, aside from the Creator, from the first form down to the smallest mosquito in the depths of the earth, come into being from the influence of his truth. Since he knows himself, he recognizes his greatness, beauty, and truth. He knows everything, and nothing is hidden from him. The only one he recognizes his truth and knows it as it is. He does not know with a knowledge which is external to him in a way that we know for ourselves, and our knowledge are not one. Rather, the Creator, may he be blessed. He and his knowledge and his life are one from all sides and corners in all manners of unity. Were he to live as life is usually conceived, or know with a knowledge that's external to him, there would be many gods, him, his life, and his knowledge, right? So when God's knowing, he's knowing himself because there's nothing outside of him, because then that would mean that there's some other kind of God, or being at least, right? The matter is not so. Rather, he is one from all sides and corners in all manners of unity. Thus, you could say he is a knower, he is the subject of knowledge, and he is the knowledge itself. All is one. Yeah, we had that. We've had that in chapter 2 of Tanya. We have it in Shar Yichud Be'emunah. Right. This matter is beyond the ability of our mouths to relate or our ears to hear, nor is there the capacity within our heart of a man to grasp it in its entirety. An expression of this concept says, Chai by the life of Pharaoh, Chai by the life of by the life of your soul. But I, Samuel, does not say Chai by the life of God, but Chai Hashem, as God lives. This shows that the Creator and his life are not two, as are the lives of living beings or lives of angels. Thus, he does not recognize and know the creations in terms of creations as we know them, but rather he knows them in terms of himself. Thus, since he knows himself, he knows everything. But the existence of everything else is dependent on him. So he's knowing himself, that's how he knows me and you. Okay? Halacha number 11. The concepts that we have mentioned about the subject matter in these two chapters are like a drop from the sea when compared to what is necessary to explain this matter. That's why we have a lot of Chassidus to come and explain this, right? The explanation of all the matters of the principle of these two chapters is referred to as Maitzah Merkava, the work of God's chariot. The sages of the early generation commanded that these matters should not be explained except in a single individual at a time. He should be wise, who can reach understanding with his powers of knowledge. In such an instance, he is given fundamental points, and an outline of these concepts is made known to him. He is expected to continue his contemplate until he reaches understanding with his powers of knowledge and knows the ultimate meaning and depth of the concept. Excuse me. These concepts are extremely deep, and not every person has the knowledge necessary to appreciate them. In his wisdom, Solomon described them as with a metaphor: lambs for your clothing. The root keves, lamb, also has the meaning hide. Thus, our sages interpret the metaphor to mean matters which are secrets of this world will be your clothing. They will be for you alone, and you should not discuss them in public. Concerning them, it says in Proverbs, they shall be for you and not for others with you. Similarly, the Song of Songs, honey and milk will be under your tongue. Sages of the early generation interpret this as a metaphor. Subjects that are like honey and milk should be kept under the tongue. Okay, we're going to stop here. Last chapter. A little more. Okay, amazing.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
Very
Have a good
beginning.
see you
Tonight,
this evening.
6:30 and 8 o'clock. All right. Amazing. Great beginning. Let's continue.